Okay, here's Tops and Babe. That's Babe, the horse I used to ride. And it was me and Rita, Hilda, Lorraine, and Carrie. And there's the dog that Hilda's holding. And anyhow, this is the riding horses out on the Reinert farm. And the folks, when they went to town, that's when we really could break loose. The kids could do what they wanted. When the folks were gone, they didn't know about it. So we would ride these horses plus 4 more horses. And, yeah, 4 more horses, and we'd ride them bareback. I would, and my brothers would. We only had one saddle for this horse right here. And well, anyhow, when the folks were gone, we would ride them up and down the roads. And if we ever we'd try and get them put away before the folks got there. And then there was times when they got home before we got home with the horses. So we had to be real quiet, sneak the horses back into the pens where they belonged, and but then to get upstairs into the house, well, we would have to climb the tree that was leaning over the thing so we could get onto the roof and then sneak through the window and into our beds. So I don't remember ever getting caught, But anyhow, that's what we used to do to get by without catching hell. Now, we want to talk about something else? Did we say those horses? These horses were black horses, black in color. Okay, now we're to the corn picker. We used to have to always pick the corn by hand. Take them, and we used to have special hooks that you put on your hands, and you'd pull the ear off the stalk, and you'd have to pull the thing and get the leaves off, because you just wanted to throw the stalk up into the box. And I got something to show my aunts and doing that. And well, anyhow, that's the only way we got the corn picked back in the old days. But then we finally got to where we did get a corn picker. This was an old beat-up corn picker we got, but it did get the job done. And this was an old Fortson tractor. This was the first tractor we ever had. Always had horses to that point. And but this thing, we used this for heavy stuff like that, for plowing. This Fortson tractor is what it's called. And but we never used it for anything but picking corn and plowing. And that Grandpa is right there. Andrew Reinert. I guess I don't know. I don't remember who the others were, but anyhow, they were relatives working there, helping pick the corn. But it wasn't the best operation in the world. And here's another picture of going the other way of the corn picker. And you can see they're pulling this wagon where the ears come in here and went into there. And the horses were pulling this wagon, and that Fortson tractor was pulling up front, going that way. And it's an awful operation.
Did you name the workhorses, or just the horses that you rode?
No, we had Jane. Well, I don't remember them really. Jane and Maine or something like that were 2 other ones. Pete was another one. Okay, here, I don't know if this is gonna show up on that thing very well or not, but this is one of those, this is out on our farm. No, it's on Paul Cook Farm. That's a white team of horses, his team of horses. And we were digging potatoes out there, mainly they were. And I showed you one of those of the potato before we started here, I think. And I've got a potato digger down here where you would hook it behind, actually we hooked them behind horses at first, and in the garden, and they would go along and they'd go along like this. This is solid steel right here. You're going along and this would go down into the ground. It would go down underneath and it would throw the dirt back around like that, and it would throw the potatoes out. And all of us kids and everybody had to go along and pick it up. And you'd carry it over and put it in the wagon. But you'd get a whole wagon load for the family. So that was to last the whole year, you know.
Yeah, that's a lot of potatoes.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of potatoes. Well, that potato bit, wish I had a better, well, anyhow. The potatoes, when we got through filling this thing up, we'd take it into the house and they would shovel them in, we'd shovel them in and they'd go down into the basement. And there was a partitioned off in there and there was a whole wagon load of potatoes there. Well, after about 6 months, not 6 months, 6 weeks would go by, those potatoes would start sprouting. You know what that is?
Yeah, start to grow.
Yeah, starting to grow, all right. They would start to grow, but we call it sprouting. And so my job, that I remember, none of the girls ever went down and did this sort of thing. I had to go down that basement in the dark and then with one little light bulb up there. And I would have to take the, you know, you would put your hand, you'd take it, knock the sprouts off and throw it over the thing. You do that for a whole wagon load of potatoes.
Did you have help?
No, I didn't. I had to do that all by myself. And every once in a while you get a rotten one. You know, boy, they stunk. Rotten potatoes stink. Well, anyhow, that's what I had to do that work. And every 6 weeks I'd have to do that, or more. I think maybe every month. And I'd have to go down in that basement by myself and do that. Didn't even have a radio, no TV, the potatoes and me.
So were one of the white horses, was one of those named Pete?
What's that?
The horse that was named Pete, was it white?
No, he was red. He wasn't like your horse. Pete never did do any work. They used to try to ride him, but he'd throw everybody off. We never did ride him or work him. Now here we got the, well, this is a wagon full of corn. And here's the deal that ran the corn up into the corn crib. And, well, here's your Uncle Leroy that I got killed in the Second World War, Rita, and Hilda, and Rosella. And, of course, here you'd pull that thing out, and this thing would roll back into a deal that would take you pull this off. You can see that little wire there, that rod that goes there? You pull on that rod and that'll pull the thing up, pull it up. And the corn didn't come out. And this is the ears of corn now, the ears of corn. And them ears of corn would go into a trough. There's no trough there right now, but there would be if they weren't standing there. And there would be a trough there. And this trough would take the corn over and go into here, and it would take the corn up. You see that thing is about full of corn in there if you look at it close.
Oh yeah, the white little specks in between the boards.
Yeah, yeah. Anyhow, you had to do that, and that, when there, the corn would dry out in there, and then in the middle of winter, we would, somebody would come out and, bring a machine for shelling corn. And he would back up and we would, then run the corn from the corn crib. There's an alleyway in the corn crib. And you would, go, they would put this trough, pull the corn out, and you'd run the corn into the trough, and that would pull it into the sheller, and the sheller would shell the corn. You'd have kernels, and that's put someplace, and you'd use some of that for feeding, and you'd take it. Some of it you'd take down and sell it, you know. But it was for feeding hogs and feeding cattle and cornwood, and for taking to town and getting some money for it. Then you'd end up with, you know, these are ears of corn with cobs on them. Okay, then the cobs, we'd use the cobs, they would shell the corn. I told you about the grain, the kernels. But the cobs, we'd have to put them separately up into the building up by the house, and I had to carry it in basket by basket into the house during the whole winter. And I used to have we didn't have TV, you know, but we did have a radio that we could listen to certain programs on. And one of them was the Lone Ranger. And so whenever the Lone Ranger was on, and I was doing the cobs, they'd allow me to, I could run up to the cobs house and get a bushel of cobs and run them back doing commercials, you know, like you would for TV. They had commercials on the radio too. And then, so while they had commercials on the radio, I ran up and did that. We had Terry on the radio. We had Terry and the Pirates, the Lone Ranger, Young and Widow Malone. My mother used to listen to that. Then the folks wouldn't let us listen to the Mr. District Attorney. They always thought that was too risque. Well, that'd be nothing nowadays. There's other programs I can't think of. The Squeaking Door, couldn't listen to that one. There's other ones that they're like that the folks won't let us listen to. Now, is this taking there? Is this taking?
Yeah.
Is it very clear?
Yeah.
Does it automatically adjust?